The dramatic conclusion of tonight's Group C action, North American Challengers League GSL stage. We're going the distance, and you can see what Fearless Draft does to you. 20 champions well, 20 champions kind of unavailable. Depends how you want to throw them on the opposite sides. Regardless, Morningstar back on the blue side after the Polestar win, Quacks, and this is where Fearless becomes so fun.
Yeah, for sure. 10 champions unavailable per team, 20 champions unavailable in total, and 10 more will be joining that list here. So a lot of champions that will not have that both these teams will not have access to. And all in all, I think that, like you said, Slayer, it's going to make for a very interesting game three as bands firing away from both teams. Rumble Jack Sakali along with Lucian Karma Fiora taken off of the table, and Morningstar White going to get the ADCs out of the way because that is the class with the least amount of champions in it.
Yeah, they're picking for AH once more, who has been very quiet in this series so far. The Draven pick did not work out in the slightest for him in the last game. Gonna land on the Varus, which has a ton of flexibility, and honestly, the champion itself has a ton of flexibility, so it might not necessarily be in the hands of AH, but I would expect it nonetheless. Polestar, though, already firing back with a ton of damage in both facets. Nico and Viego likely locked in there for Kryra and Repi.
Yeah, absolutely. Tons of damage indeed. And so now I'm really curious to see what Morningstar White are going to draft, because usually how it works with Viego is you want to pick this kind of champion into a mobile champ so that when you get those resets on the Heartbreaker, you'll be dashing around and no one will really be able to keep track of you. But it really is up to the enemy comp to set Viego up, which is why you normally see this champion picked at a later stage of the game. Nonetheless, Morningstar White going to pick up the Olaf, followed by the Twisted Fate. I'm actually really surprised we have not seen the TF picked at all today. Feels like this champion is incredibly deadly and versatile and proficient in the right hands. And it's no surprise to see Hitty going for that pick.
Yeah, it's pretty straightforward what you can get out of TF here. Global presence can threaten side lanes, can threaten pick potential all of the time, which is going to put a lot of pressure on Enthralled. And he's already, like you talked about, got a pretty limited champ pool available to him. And they're going to leave his champion up for more ban targeting. So Enthralled and honestly, the bottom lane of Polestar going to be under the microscope here. So far, though, the first phase, I'm just a fan. We're getting Kryra on a carry here. I still believe Kryra, when he does his best, is in these carry-oriented roles, and he's pulling it out for a potential series-winning game.
Yeah, but I don't feel like Morningstar White is going to make it easy for him either. A lot of these champions are hard to get picks on, especially in a team fight. If you're not careful enough, you'll just get bursted down by an Olaf or gold carded by a Twisted Fate. So there's a lot that Kryra needs to keep track of in these fights. But like you said, when he's on a carry, he is online. He is that jungler. He is that guy, if you will, as Morningstar White going to keep firing away bans in the ADC category, really limiting what Enthralled can pick up here in this game three.
I love these two bans from Polestar, though. Talon ban is a sole one-trick ban, so they're taking that away from him. Renata is just a great answer to Udyr, Nico, Viego. Easy answer with that hostile takeover, so get that out of the way as well. And yeah, I mean, the pool is really heavily pinched for Enthralled. I know Aphelios is up there if they want to grab him. I still think that's a pretty good high prio AD, especially if
Maybe
you
go
want to try
Sivir.
Sivir, yeah, and you could throw some, supports, like
Ooh.
Enchanter supports, but they're going to go the other route here. They're going to get him on the Jhin, who is still very strong, but certainly fits kind of a pigeonhole type role when it comes to the rest of the marksmen.
I feel like this is a dangerous pick to have, especially when you're up against a champion like Hitty and Yushin. It feels like a spell shield on Sivir would be so useful against champions like that have one ability that can just completely lock you down. But Morningstar White, for the
Wow.
second time today, Slayer, we are going to see a Rengar in this game, and it looks like it's going to be in the jungle this time.
Yep, looks like Soul would go towards it. Wouldn't surprise me that a Talon one-trick Fame player with like a Rengar as a backup played pretty similarly, and that's the route they're going to go. They're going to get Pika on the rel locked in here to solidify a lot of CC on the bottom lane. Basically, Almost all of their hard CC, except for a gold card, is coming from the combo of AH and Pika Pika.
Yeah, absolutely. CC is basically the name of the game. Lockdown is the name of the game of a Morningstar White, and it feels like Polestar, with the exception of the empowered E um from Udyr, and now the Unbreakable Will from the locked-in Alistar for a B. It feels like this CC is really efficient at shutting down these carries of Polestar, so they have to be really careful in these team fights not to get picked off before the fight starts, because it's very easy for Morningstar to execute some of these pick comps that they have drafted.
I do love, though, the answer. It's a bit of an homage to Season 13 when Rel was just on top of the meta. The answer was always Alistair, so I like that from a B. They needed another tank around, Cozy's Udyr, like you're talking about. So it puts a B in a great position to do his best job of keeping Enthralled safe here. And for Polestar as well, picking him off in side lanes or when he's alone enthralled is obviously going to be a good catch for Hitty all the time. But if we're talking 5v5s, there's too much to worry about in my mind to really be focusing too much on enthralled. You got Pop Blossom, you've got an Udyr that's going to be running at people. Kryra's going to be trying to dive your back line and look for resets that could change a fight. I actually, now that I'm looking at the comp as a whole, am kind of a fan of the Jhin here because he's just going to be so far back and be able to be useful still.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think that if a fight breaks out, it's definitely going to be in favor of the red side squad. But should blue team get a little bit of wiggle room to try and look for a pick, that is essentially their speciality. So they have to be careful not to get picked before those fights. But once fight starts, I think they have a much easier time winning and sort of being up in the face of their opponents.
Where have I heard that before, Quacks? Surely that wasn't how the play styles of both teams kind of shook
Yeah,
out from last game.
yeah, more or less.
More or less, yeah, just in a different style here. They also, Morningstar White, certainly have the split push aspect, right? If Yushin gets ahead up against this Udyr, you are going to have to bring a lot over to answer him in the side lanes as well. So Morningstar White, once again, comfortable with the spread out pick play, but Polestar are comfortable in their comms, in their team fighting ability, and now we're going to see it all unfold on Summoner's Rift as Morningstar White have been spotted trying to get cheeky with their level 1 shenanigans. We know Soul has been constantly vertical jungle and invading, and it looks like he's going to try and set up to do the same once more.
Yeah, but it feels like it's a little bit more difficult this time around. They're going really deep to try and go for this. As, yeah, they're going to get a little bit of damage onto Reppy, but it's not going to mean much. But Soul in particular, Rengar is not a champion that is that great at counter jungling. It feels like this champion is really proficient at counter ganking, which is something we've seen Kryra do really well, especially in that first game. Just making sure that your team can sort of be the bait for you to go in and jump toward a fight.
Minions crashing in, Quacks, to the last time here. We get the most normal jungle start, as you were talking about what to watch for from both Soul and Kryra here. Mirroring clears, which is such a normalcy, but in what we've casted today, the opposite. I don't know if you know if we've seen a mirrored start so far. At least in this series we haven't, so. Both these junglers, though, this is the one game out of all the ones in this series where handshaking full clears is most optimal for both parties.
And funnily enough, it's probably the game where you don't want to full clear as either of these junglers. If you are Viego or if you are Rengar, you're looking to scrap, you are looking to fight, which has certainly been the attitude from not only both these junglers, but both of these teams just in general in this series is constant fighting, constant brawling, and constant skirmishing. And I think that this is going to be the most skirmish-heavy game of the entire series, just given that we have so much fight potential from both of these junglers.
See where everything starts to kick off here. Once again, the mirror jungle clears. This is still the same. They're at similar pace here. Top lane could get pretty bruiser heavy. Olaf likes his odds at low HP fighting early, but so does Udyr with how many forms he can get shielding and extra health through. And out the gate, this feels like the quietest the Rift has been all series long this early, to be honest, Quack.
Oh yeah, by far. Usually, by now we would be seeing a pentakill from these other two games, and not a single kill has really been dropped here in this all-important Game 3. It's definitely more of a quieter one, but Reppy going to take a good chunk out of Hitty.
Yeah, Pika Pika here, though, just to assuage anything further. Did have the value of his AD being able to get a cheater in. They pushed in, and Age shouldn't miss many minions when he comes back. The wave will crash back into him. So
Look at the
everything's
supports
staying
already
pretty
roaming up
good.
for a crab.
Yeah, they are all the way up here. Scuttle, they're going to fight over it. Kryra gets the first stun. Reppy's here first as well. Soul able to cleanse the stun. And Pika Pika forced back here as the B shows up, so right when we think things are quiet, an early little skirmish is going to give Kryra a slight lead in the jungle.
Well, you know what they say, whoever controls the Scuttle Crabs controls the universe. As Kryra going to pick that one up, but already you can tell the importance of this jungle matchup. Getting the supports up toward that crab 3.5 minutes into the game really spells the pace that both these teams want to play at.
Cozy and Yushin getting more and more uncomfy. Their health bar's getting lower and lower. I think we're going to have a fight in the bot side. Pika Pika jumping, cleanse flash from Enthralled already over the wall. Soul trying to use that brush to jump on the targets. Gets a good root, but it's on Reppy's clone. Kryra grabs double scuttle, but it costs his AD carry a lot of safety going forward.
Yeah, and Thrall is going to have to play really far back for the next 5 or so minutes, at least until that cleanse goes back up, and even then, it's still going to be risky for him to go like past his turret, but you can see the wave is already pushing in. Luckily, Soul on the reset didn't really capitalize on the wave state to bot lane, but this is a really risky position to be in if you're a champion like Jhin and a mobile AD carry who's really reliant on his summoner spells for defense. It's very easy to pick off a champion like that.
Something that I'm sure Soul will be watching for as he levels up going forward here. For Kryra, gotta be kind of happy with the fact that his lanes are just CSing along, keeping even, or maybe giving a slight lead here, because Viego's certainly a champion that, you know, can gank early, has some CC in his kit, but is a big fan of just farming up to try and hit item spikes so he can start farming kills later on.
Yup, and you can see Void Grubs. We're at 5 minutes here, and Kryra, not skipping a beat, is just going to go straight onto those, but curiously enough, is only going to kill one, just going to deny the potential of having to play against 6 Void Grub enemy team. And I really like that. He doesn't want to expend too much time going for the Grubs. He knows that he might get collapsed on, so he's just going to play it safe, take his reset, continue farming, and just take the safe path with the least amount of risks involved.
Yeah, no, very little knowledge where Soul was. Pika Pika hadn't been spotted, and they know that they've already run them both up, so I like that safety. And also we talked about earlier in our broadcast, Quax is, I'm still a fan of, Void Grubs aren't that big of a deal if you deny to at least 5 or 6, right? So
yeah.
you take one now, as long as you get one later on down the line, Void Grubs aren't as massive as people were making them out to be at the start of the season.
No, it's really only 3 damage a second on each Void Grub, and getting those Void Mites really is the big spike. You know, if you have 4 Void Grubs or 5, like, the big difference is between 4 and 5, right? Just having those Void Mites really is the difference, and so being able to deny 1 or 2 Grubs to deny the Mites is really worth it, in my opinion, if you are a jungler like Viego who wants to be more fast-paced, doesn't want to spend too much time farming Grubs, and just wants to get on the map as soon as possible.
Get on the map Kryra has. He's doing a good job just mirroring Soul. Despite the fact they get spotted out taking this first Drake, they have the prio and they don't have Soul on the right side of the map. The response obviously will be to take the other 2 Void Grubs. But I'm just still a fan of this from Kryra. He gets a first Drake and make sure that the full stack doesn't come across from Morningstar White on the rebound.
Not only that, but he's soon going to get the notification that Rengar is in the top side, so this opens up an avenue for him to maybe make a play. He was just on the reset, and now he has all his camps, but curiously enough, the bot lane is pushing in. He could look for maybe a lane gank here, given that he knows the positioning of this Rengar, so we'll have to see how he uses this knowledge.
And up top side, you know, Cozy's done a good job. If you're not dying early to an Olaf, you're doing pretty well. You're not giving him too much of an advantage. Udi are certainly a champion who's just kind of fine farming up. But as I say that, Soul might be the one looking for a lane gank, but Cozy gets the wave shoved in just in time so that Soul couldn't sneak into that brush. And what could have been first blood if played improperly.
Mm-hmm. You know, I love that you pronounce Udyr like that, because I've been playing the game for like a really long time. As a kid, I used to pronounce Udyr like Udyr. like that,
Oh.
as Uter is dead.
Caster Curse, man. It just, I like, yeah, man, didn't die to Olaf early. That's exactly what you want to do, Cozy. And what does he do? He just immediately indexes his ability to stay alive in that lane. That was way too easy for Yushin, and he's got first blood now. The Olaf, gonna be a problem. The Polestar had to have foreseen coming.
I do think, though, that Yushin might have a little bit of difficulty trying to repeat that same success, given that he used both summoner spells to kill Cozy. So he is probably, unless Cozy really messes up, going to wait for those summoner spells to go back up before trying to really look for another kill onto this Udyr. So, although yes, it is bad that Yushin got the kill, he probably isn't going to be able to do that again for a little bit, given that Cozy is always getting tankier and Yushin no longer has the summoner spells to chase down an Udyr.
We will see as it goes on. Olaf certainly will only ramp up as things continue here. 1.5, over 1,000 gold lead here. Some of the farm leads certainly helping out across the board. Mainly AH, who we've talked about needed to have a good performance after the last two games. Has got himself a pretty sizable CS lead to help push Morningstar White somewhat ahead in that category.
Yeah, absolutely. Morningstar White ever so slightly ahead in this game. No objective really spawning for a while here, so unless a pick happens in these next couple of minutes, I would expect the slow pace of the game to continue. Just the junglers farming away. And in all honesty, I feel like that might be a little bit better for Polestar. The slower pace of the game, waiting for those team fights in the mid to late game, is more or less what this red squad wants.
Exactly what we talked about already in draft, right? Is that the Viego resets, you have the Nico combo, Udyr soaks up a bunch of damage. Polestar have had the most success really all series long in the 5v5 bar one Baron slip up. So
one major Baron slip up.
Yeah, one Baron. I was trying to give him a little bit of benefit of the doubt. It's been in the headlights or in the rearview mirror by this point, but yes, that one slip up, and well, Cozy might slip up once more here. Soul digging into the brush this time. Yushin baiting well.
Ooh.
Jumps out. Here comes the cat. Uses the ult. He's going to get a reset on that leap. Gets one more. TF ultimate out as well to make sure no assistance is coming to help out Cozy. And Soul punishes him once more, this time claiming the kill. The top side of the map opening it up for Morningstar White.
Yup, and now the top side of Morningstar White, each with a kill, like you said, Slayer. This is where you want to allocate your resources early on. These are the champions that you want to look to snowball if you're Morningstar White. Luckily, Cozy, it's not all completely bad. He does have the TP available to catch some of this wave and maybe rebound it a little bit under Yushin's turret to try and put some pressure on him. But all in all, good plays here for Morningstar White in the early game on this top side. And Hubris is acquired for the Rengar. Zoom in on that bronze statue.
We're doing it again. All right. Well, at least this time the guy that bought Hubris actually had a kill in his score before he bought it. So, sorry, Age. I had to throw a little bit of shade on that. But
yikes.
I mean, Rengar's in a great position to utilize it a lot more this game because they are going to play for picks, and Rengar, along with Hiddy, are likely going to be the ones always starting that sort of stuff out.
Yup, and Kryra doing the exact same thing that he did on the first respawn of Void Grubs, just taking one away and leaving. Wants to be there for the action, and the action is spelled out in a dragon as we have a Cloud Dragon spawning up here. And maybe, just maybe, Polestar can look for a fight.
Certainly have the keys to it, but they need to set up vision first here. Pika Pika able to get that pink out of the way. Soul does have Endless Hunter back up here, but immediately they've got Pika Pika just completely pitched off, and he's dead in an instant. Enthralled grabs the kill, Polestar punch back, and now they're going to set themselves up and solidify some good dragon stacking.
Yup, they managed to get themselves the second dragon of the game, but on the other hand, Morningstar White now with 4 Void Grubs in their pockets. Void Mites just barely denied away by some really intelligent pathing from Kryra. But now it really is a question of scaling versus snowballing and which team can sort of do it better, because that window to snowball is slowly closing for Morningstar White as this game progresses and plates drop in about a minute here.
Yeah, it's got to be Soul and Yushin. That's who they got to play for that stacking. one thing we haven't touched on is that his Varus is going the on-hit route, so he will be able to solidify more overall damage as the game goes on. I also am a big fan of the on-hit because I don't think he was going to be able to get a lot of that lethality poke through a Udyr, through this Alistar picked into him. So, you know, I've been pretty critical of AH so far in this series, and so far in this game 3, he's checking all the right boxes.
Yeah, I mean, AH has just had a rough time in general in this series. Just as a whole, this player has really not been allowed to breathe. Polestar have done a really good job at locking the AD carry out in basically every single game. But now this game, I feel like AH, like you said, Slayer, really has had the best time that he's had in all 3 games for this early game. So we'll have to see what he can do with it as the items are continuing to stack for this Varus. And like you said, and like I agree with, I really am glad he's not going for this lethality pick because of how in your face this Polestar lineup has been drafted.
Gold lead for Morningstar White now, starting to get up. They crest the 2K mark here despite the fact that Enthralled found a kill. He's through those CS avenues, they're getting a bit of a lead here. But only 3 kills on the board is very opposite what we've seen all series long, and that's just what game 3s are like.
Yeah, I mean, players don't want to take unnecessary risks. They want to make sure that every single micro movement counts. As Destiny coming out from Twisted Fate, he might be picked.
Here comes the Pop Blossom. They drop it over, only able to grab 1. They're trying to lock down the stuns. Who just burned out Pika. They do. Reset for Enthralled. But now he's got to flash over the wall. Kryra about to go Heartbreaker. Gets back. Tries to go for the curtain call. But it's goal up to Kryra. Reset City. He gets shut down finally by Soul. A double kill over to AH as this game continues to walk the wire.
That Rengar was jumping around the entire fight. That bush was having a lot of activity over on it, and already a gold statue coming out from the Pride Stalker. He's got to be happy about that. The gold is going where you want it to go, and like you said, Slayer, 2 kills to the name of AH and double buffs for the Varus.
And he's going to get a good buy here on the reset. I'm expecting building towards some sort of Rage Blade. He's already got the Blade of the Ruin King completed here. So this Varus is going to be online, and unlike Poke Varus, scales up as the game goes on infinitely. So this choice by AH looking better and better in. What a time to come alive in this series.
Yeah, really, you just want to make sure that this Varus can get to the point where he can burn through Cozy, burn through a B. Making those frontliners obsolete is objective number 1 for this Varus. As Hitty potentially in trouble.
Yeah, the CC chain, a B, make sure to lock in the kill. Kryra grabs that one. Now Reppy, though, might get pinched here looking for a turn, but AH's piercing arrow pierces himself into a killing spree. Trades galore, just as you expect from a game number 3.
Yep, absolutely, and it's Morningstar White getting picks across the board. And now it looks like Soul is just going to use the loss of Reppy to go for a Herald here, pulling it toward the bush, so that he can get more, passive jumps on it and make it look cooler. But in the meantime, the bot lane of Morningstar White going to take the mid turret as well. So objectives really riling up for this blue team, and the snowballing plan is starting to come through.
Starting to push towards that 3K gold lead. A correct Rift Herald usage would help push that, because like we talked about, this is the part of the game where Morningstar White are most powerful. They press their issue in multiple waves, multiple lanes, go for picks where they see them. They have the TF to go for it, and they have to worry about, if this game goes too long, what Polestar might have in store.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you can never underestimate the power of the Pop Blossom. Reppy, I wouldn't be surprised, has managed to find so many good avenues. Even in game 2, he had such good positioning, and on a champion like Nico, that positioning is rewarded tenfold with the ultimate in tow. So Morningstar White, they need to make sure that they can accrue this gold lead as soon as possible, because it's only a matter of time before you get 5-man Pop Blossom, and suddenly the game is just turned on its head.
And this is one of the avenues for Polestar. They have a Mountain Soul in hand. Already got the first two Drakes here, and they're looking to fight. Teleport coming across. Udyr right into the party. They're trying to burn Pika Pika. Good Chains of Corruption keeps Alistar at bay. Hitty looking for a yellow card. Deadly Flourish out. Soul just focuses the Drake, but he gets it stolen by Kryra. Soul point secure, and now it's get out of dodge time for Polestar. They don't need a fight. They have their WinCon avenue set up for the future.
Yup, now they are on Soul Point. That is exactly what Polestar wanted. They get what they want and they dip out. But you can see the members of Polestar, they're still in the area, defending against anything that Morningstar White might want to go for, as Herald has been dropped. We're not done yet, Slayer.
Yeah, here comes the miss. Kryra looking for an angle, but he gets rooted. Now he's got Olaf right on top of him, going Ragnarok. Here comes the Rel as well. Pika Pika though gets pushed under turret. What a headbutt coming across from a B. Gets a kill in Polestar's hand, and Shelly hasn't even gotten to the turret yet, so Polestar can just reset defensively once more.
Yup, they are going to manage to get themselves a turret. Morningstar White with a little bit of a consolation prize alongside the fact that they lost their support. All in all, good disengage there from a Polestar. They wanted to make sure that their turret was, you know, it wasn't too big of an advantage that Morningstar White were going for. They wanted to make sure that they could punish this potential overextension from Morningstar White. Punish they did, managing to get the support.
That's the Alistar tech, a B. Good headbutt, and it's going to be a bigger problem for Kryra if he keeps getting reset after reset in some of these fights. 3-1-2, he's sporting nearly the most gold in this game right now. Certainly the most gold on his squad. We talked about it. Kryra is the name on the, right under the banister that is Polestar of this team, Quacks, and that reason is because he needs to show up in game threes like this, and has done so far through 20 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, so much talk has been surrounding Kryra for the longest time. A very, very young player who a lot are expecting great things from, to potentially be in the NACL or even in the LCS one day. And it's tournaments like these, it's showings like these that really matter for him to get scouted. So performances like these really are the ones that get you seen. And so far, he is putting on one hell of a performance, not just in this game, but in this series as a whole.
Morningstar still very much in the driver's seat. They have to worry about the big bad skeleton in the closet that is Mountain Soul. Polestar will be able to grab that around the 23-ish minute mark if they want it. And Baron is now on the table, and this is where the real macro decisions of League of Legends come out, and where Morningstar might start trying to lean on their pick potential. Destiny out, Hitty gonna try and get a clone, but he grabs the clone. Good Magnet Storm down, but the Pop Blossom Turk gonna come out from Reppy. He dies too early. Yushin in that Ragnarok will not be phased by a Pop Blossom. Morningstar get their pick.
Yup, they managed to get a pick, and now the Baron is on the map, potentially looking for a Morningstar White, but they want to get more picks. They want to make sure this isn't a 50-50.
Breakable will. This Alistar's going to take a lot to go through, but all of Morningstar White are on top of him, and no safety is coming for a B. A rampaging kill for AH as he continues to show up in the biggest of lights.
Yup, and now the Baron has been started by Morningstar White. 3 members of Polestar. They could potentially look to steal it. Kryra does have the Heartbreaker. He does have the Flash. He has all the abilities to try and get this, but now all that matters is vision. Getting to know what the purple health bar is. Gonna go for it.
This is your moment if you want it. Down to 2k HP. He has to go now. Heartbreaker in. He doesn't get the steal. He's stunned up. Has to flash out, but they're gonna chase him. Soul is hunting for him, and he will find the kill. Morningstar White blow up game number 3. They want that lead in Group C.
Yeah, Morningstar White, they managed to secure the Baron. The golden statue is ever present for Morningstar White, and Soul in general has been performing like a gold-starred player. I almost said a gold player, but he is far beyond the level of that, I would say, at this point. As now the all-fateful Mountain Dragon has been spawned, or will be spawning rather, in 45 seconds. And this will truly be the test on whether or not Morningstar White have taken this game, or if Polestar can potentially mount a comeback.
They have the gold lead, but like we highlighted, their 5v5 just isn't as strong unless they are able to set up first, with you're seeing the vision toggle. They're keeping Polestar away from the pit right now very well. Baron is going to keep those waves pushed up on all sides. This might be Polestar just delaying their soul take They don't have to risk the game to get it now.
No, they definitely don't. I mean, if they give up one dragon, I think that they can still salvage this. You can see they're pushing down mid lane, probably expecting a trade from the dragon. They know they can't fight it. They know they're in a weaker position. So they're just trying to take any advantage they can. Maybe now they float up toward the top side, try and take that top lane tier 1 as well. But look at bot lane. You can see the pings there, leaving that bot lane completely exposed. And someone has to go reset so that there isn't a complete split push mania coming out from Yushin.
And Cozy will answer. He gets down there in time. Reppy gets topside. He has Kryra hovering him, so they will try and knock down that tier 1, but it might not be enough time with those Baron waves. They're already bearing down on the mid lane tier 2. Kryra has to reset here. Just going to try and buy time for Reppy to get some more gold back in the deficit the Polestar holds.
Yeah, for sure. You can see that Reppy does have teleport, so if they want to look for a fight, they can. And teleport indeed is coming.
Ragnarok out from Yushin, not going to be CC'd at all. There's a big metal storm coming across, but the Pop Blossom is a great answer. Who's going to get bursted down first? Kryra has to Heartbreak around. Here comes the curtain call, but they already lost their front line, and Soul's just going to eat them up like candy. Health bars too low on Polestar, and Morningstar are now looking for the base killing blow on this inhibitor.
Yup, the wave is pushing in. They have 4 members strong. You can see Yushin in the mid lane as well. A 4-1 split for the Morningstar White Squad. They're looking for an inhibitor, but they are going to get pushed off, it looks like, as Polestar are mounting a defense.
Pika, time and time again, getting so much value out of this Rel. These Crash Down Magnet Storms doing so much. Deadly Flourish does land on AH, very low. Kryra, thought about maybe going in here, but they just don't have an angle, and they have to worry about their mid lane that nearly turret falls. Yushin so close to getting another big avenue forward for Morningstar. It feels like this game is slipping further and further out of Polestar's hands.
Yeah, Polestar, they're constantly able to mitigate the worst, possible outcome of these fights. As good old looking, is that Diamond? I'm assuming that's a Diamond statue for Soul. But Polestar, every time, I do want to give credit where credit is due. They do take a lot of beatings, but they manage to mitigate some of the damages. It's never the worst case scenario for this team. They always manage to get something back. They never give Morningstar White something for free. And I think that is what has gotten them so high up in these standings in the top 16. And now they're so close to closing it out. They're just 1 to 2 fights from maybe closing this gold gap lead. That's all they need, and a Soul would certainly help. Only 2.5 minutes away, and they can maybe look for something to salvage this all-important Game 3.
They're going to have to play through that dragon because nothing else is going to help them. If they could spread thin, covering for this Olaf, things are going to get rough. They're going to open up pick potential value, and that's exactly what Morningstar wants to do. And right now, with the lead they have, why not just take as much standing gold off the table as you can and make sure that Polestar just can't match you in damage or tankiness in any of these fights.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you can see that the carry members of Morningstar White just farming up as much as they can before this dragon fight persists, and it definitely will. This has to be Polestar's last stand, but Morningstar White, they're looking to get items. They have a lot of gold on the table. They are winning out in gold by quite a decent amount at this point. And they overall have an item advantage. So Polestar, they have to find some creative way to try and maybe get a pick. And this might start with Yushin.
They're going to try. Ragnarok out. He's going to try and delay, get some slows. Destiny coming across. The TF will soon join the fight, but he's just not dying. He's just burning Kryra. He forces them out of their own pick play, and now the rest of Morningstar's here. Soul already gets a rampaging kill. Pop Blossom used defensively, but the health bars are just too low. A beautiful stun from Pika, and Rengar is jumping out to claim all lives. Morningstar turn the pick play, win the game, and win the series to solidify their top spot in Group C.
And a quadra kill from Soul, and it is glowing like the morning. And Morningstar White are going to take this series. And Polestar, they thought they had the Olaf, but Yushin said, I'm not locked in here with you. You're locked in here with me. And he slams the hopes of Polestar from winning this series.
Certainly a series that many will look back at and say, what if, what if, what if? Because who knows what this entire set of games looks like if Polestar have control of that game one and don't give up that big fight. It could have been a whole different ballpark. But Morningstar White, they showed their resolve today, Quacks, rebounding, getting that game win, and even despite losing game two, commandingly shutting out the series.
Yeah, absolutely. Morningstar White, they earned this win in game number 3, and they showed up big time. Not only did they win, but they showed their own style. Picks like the Rengar, the Olaf. This is what Fearless Draft is so good at, exposing the diversity of these players and what they can play. And Morningstar White, at the end of the day, they managed to show up big with so many different pocket picks that made this series such a fun watch.
Well, certainly a fun series to go through with you, Quacks. Big shout out to you
Yeah.
on the color casting as always. Big shout out to Running the Rift. You're seeing them on our screen, allowing us to come on here and record cast in this not the standard format of the qualifier games of the North American Challengers League. Make sure to check out other videos to see exactly where every team is slated across every groups A through D, because I can tell you there have been some upsets on the channel already covered for. But until then, I've been Slayer. Quacks is always on the color casting. Shout out to Adam behind the scenes, not only running our production today, but setting up a lot of these broadcasts. And make sure to tune in next week, as we'll likely be giving you even more looks at the next teams vying for promotion into the North American Challengers League. Until then, take care.